Sam Smith were a highly skilled driver. Of that there was never a doubt. For he'd been on an engine since he were a lad, and he'd driven year in and year out. The steamers he knew like the back of his hand. The diesels he took in his stride. And his passengers knew that from Euston to Crewe, they were sure of a trouble-free ride. Then one day, on return to the depot, a notice asked Sam to report to the District Electric Department to work on a course of some sort. So Sam went along to have lessons about valves, rectifiers and things, and the time that it takes to make pneumatic brakes pull a train up without taking wings. He learned about buttons and handles that had to be pulled, pushed or pressed, and amazed the white-coated instructor by passing first time with his test. The inspector was pleased with his progress and said, as he sipped at his tea, "Sam, you know these newfangled things backward. I can see they're no bother to thee." For a while they put Sam back on steamers. For a while he drove diesels once more. Then one morning, reporting for duty in the yard, can you guess what he saw? Why, a brand spanking shiny new loco, complete, all mod cons, automatic. A driver's best friend with a number each end, and a pantograph up in the attic. All excited, Sam sat on the soft little seat, and his inside it started to bubble. The lessons they'd taught him came back like a flash. He remembered them all without trouble. When the signal said go, he knew just what to do, what to press, what to push, what to twiddle. At the start of that day, Sam's train moved away smooth as silk at the front, back and middle. For several weeks, or it might have been months, Sam drove his trains hither and thither as he burned up the track on his way there and back. There was naught to cause tiniest dither, till one day he were driving a non-stop express and there wasn't a station in sight, when the little lamp shining to tell him all's well of a sudden went out like a light. Sam tried with the buttons and notching up handle, his cab drill in accord with instruction, but Sam could detect that it had no effect. Something's wrong was his final deduction. Before long, it just stopped with a faint little sigh, and Sam sat there thinking no more. Then he said to himself, "Better do something, lad, or you'll never make journey by 4. Now, it's all very well to say, do something, Sam, to yourself, but do what, may you ask? For just sitting there dumb like a petrified mum will do naught to get on with the task. Now, like you and me, Sam had 2 or 3 sides to his character, some worse, some better. And he called up the first one. First Sam, he were called, hoping he might turn out a go-getter. But first Sam couldn't care if the wheels were all square and the passengers died of frustration. It annoyed him to think of the pints of good drink which he might have had nearer a station. If they build locomotives that break down like this, then I blame the smart Alecs who made them. They can jolly well sort out the mess by themselves. Why should I lift a finger to aid them? So without more ado, he just lighted a fag and reclined on the signal ladder. There might have been better Sams somewhere about, but certainly none were much badder.
Will we be stopping here sometime?
He jeered at the businessmen, leered at the girls, he behaved like a wide boy inspired. So when he looked in with his arrogant grin, Sam couldn't help saying, "You're fired." Now, what about Second Sam? What about him? He might be worth giving a try. He's a bit over-anxious at times, it is true. Let's be fair, he's a pretty good guy. Over-anxious? Well, perhaps that's not quite the right word. Doesn't think might come nearer the truth. Nearer still, one might say, Second Sam, on his day, were a large, gormless, ill-informed youth. Get things done is his motto, for better or worse. And the things that get done are appalling. He reverses the amps in the fault-finding lamps, and the volts get a right proper mauling. Perhaps a fuse has burnt out in the power supply. Change 'em round, Sam, it's all in the game. If you haven't got spares, don't waste time splitting hairs. No, change 'em around just the same. Try the brakes, try the springs. Something's jammed, that's for sure. Perhaps train pipes are blocked with stale porridge. Or the carriages might have developed a blight in the journey from Nantwich to Norwich. Have the passengers pulled any chains? That's the point. Have they panicked and pulled the wrong lever? Make a physical check. Yes, I'll find it by heck. Second Sam's on his way like a beaver. No, not Second Sam. He gets out of control and loses his head in a jam. Try the third. He's the only one left, so we must. Our salvation might be in Third Sam. Third Sam plays it cool. He's methodical like. He'll locate the trouble for certain. If one dial looks like this and the other's like this, it's a fuse that has gone for a Burton. And by further deductions, it's clear that the trouble must be in the cupboard at back. Sure enough, with these clues, he should find the dud fuse that has stopped all the trains on this track. In the circle of light, from his blazing great torch, he locates the dud fuse right away. Then he puts in a new one. He knows where they're kept, and he's ready to go, come what may. Back to his buttons and notching up handle, his heart racing ever so slightly. A moment of hush. Then he gives knob a push, and his little lights start shining brightly. With a roar like a dragon, it comes back to life, Sam's loco that once looked so poorly. Then it moves, and the train that it's pulling moves too, thanks to Sam and his better self, surely. So remember, if you have your troubles one day, be it Scotland, Wales, Watford or Dover, don't have any doubt, sort your characters out and make sure it's the best that takes over.